Hey, good morning, Lisa. Am I back? Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
good morning.
Okay.
Good morning.
I,
Slight
well,
technical
let me know if that happens.
difficulties.
Yeah, let me know. On my microphone, you just said, Chuck, I can't hear you. And I looked and there, like the little mute thing on the microphone was on. So I don't know why it was muted. I didn't touch it, but so if it happens again, just let me know. I'll touch it.
Okay. Unless we get
Um,
tired of hearing you talk, then I'll just talk over you.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. You might be carrying the weight on this show. Good morning, everybody. I'm Chuck Flynn, Howard Hand manager in Irondequoit, and I'm with Lisa Avery, the amazing Lisa Avery, manager in Hamburg, representing the Buffalo, the BFL low, and I'm representing the ROC, covering Western New York. So much fun and exciting, and I am, like I said, you're covered. This is really your show. This is a Lisa show, not kind of because of our show prep, what we led into, but full disclosure, I did test positive for COVID last night. So I am home, working from home. But look, the magic of the internet. I mean, I can still do the show, right?
Right, right.
I'm, yeah. I mean, if we were trying to record it last night at 1 o'clock in the morning, it wouldn't have happened. Um, but that's the beauty. That's the magic. I love
Yeah.
it.
And that's truly our profession too, because
Yeah.
realtors, like, we're always working, we're always accessible. Sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad, but it's
Hmm.
like, we can work remotely when we need to, when things call for it. So appreciate you still coming here and being with us. So again, thank
Yeah.
you. I'm sorry
Hey.
you're not feeling better, but hey,
And
you'll be back to resting very shortly.
yeah, very shortly. I promise.
Yes.
Very shortly.
Yes. All right, good.
Um,
Well,
so, well, this is a little bit of a change, right? Because we had talked usually at the end of we kind of moved our stats show from the first week of the month that we were doing. Now we said, you know what, let's do it at the end of the month because because we get better data, right? It takes
right.
time for some of the data to get built. Um,
Yes.
so I think that was a really smart suggestion that you made. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
wait,
Thank you. Yeah. And I do, I am laughing because I know when I say I love spreadsheets and I like numbers and I like that,
hmm
because to me it's tangible. Numbers, results, those are tangible. That's why we measure things, is because
hmm
we've got something to reflect on. Now, emotion trumps logic every day, right? But sometimes you need logic to justify decisions, to make sense of what you want to do.
yeah,
So we start with the data. We gather information, we have conversations, and then we decide how to take action, right? Like,
sure,
and
yeah.
then you really need to look at it. And it's all so local. I know we keep saying that real estate is local. You can watch the
It's
national
it's
news.
everywhere. It's macro and micro, right? Like,
Right, right.
but
But if
but
you're
we usually get the macro story. Like usually when we're looking, like the story that gets the headlines is usually the national story. And we always say, like, I think what you're getting to is what's the local story?
Exactly. Exactly. I was talking with a realtor recently. And they had, we're starting to see in our area, there are times where a seller will accept a contingent offer. And we use that term very broad to mean, I'd like to buy your house, but I need to sell my house first. And thank you.
Accepting a contingent offer.
Yes.
Clap for that,
Thank
right?
you.
Because that helps bring more inventory on the market.
Right.
I,
Right.
why
So
why are we worried about contingent offers? The other house is going to sell. Come on.
exactly, exactly. And so
Yeah.
that's why you need to know your numbers. You need to know what's going
Mhm.
on. You need to be able to look. And sometimes, like, we're looking at, statewide figures, but we're also looking at county by county, because maybe I'm moving from Monroe County to Erie County, and I want to know, hey, what's the market? What's going to be happening in that one, where I'm selling, where I'm buying, and your realtor has access to all that information. So to look at
Mm.
that contingent offer, I need to look at where is it, what's it priced at, how reasonable are their expectations. And then that's the information that's going to help a seller make a decision. Do I want to accept this contingent offer or not?
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
I get it.
we're looking
100%.
at, and again, because I like numbers, and look at this pretty chart. It's got 3 colors. It's really
Uh,
wonderful. Data points
I
are
just
moving. And this can look at something as simple as median price per square foot. I'm looking at a house that came on the market. It's 2,000 square feet. It's priced at 400,000. That means they're asking $200 a square foot, right? It's an easy number to look at.
easy.
Um,
Yeah.
and I can look at, for example, in July in Erie County, the median price per square foot was around 123 for the entire county, right? But maybe I'm looking, I want
Now,
to
is
buy a
this the
house,
asking price or the selling price?
the asking price.
Okay, because that's another conversation I would have is, the difference in dollar per square foot and the ask price versus the sold price. Just
Exactly, exactly. So in the whole county, 193. But if I'm looking at now the town of Hamburg, then it's more like 204, right? So a little higher price per square foot when you drill down to a town.
mhm,
And
okay.
if I'm looking in the town of Amherst, now it's at 211 a square foot.
Ooh,
Okay. So and that again, going back to the area and where do we need to be? So if
uh-huh,
I'm looking, and maybe I'm a first time buyer, maybe I need to be, 20 minutes from downtown Buffalo. And we like to say in Buffalo, everything's 20 minutes away, right? You draw your
yeah,
little circle. And
sure.
so maybe I'm looking and saying, hey, I can get a little bit more for my money in this town versus that town. So some of this data will also help you make some decisions on where do I want to go? Where do I want to live?
But you know what, Lisa, like, I mean, you remember, even I remember the days of adjustments. Okay, so we might be looking at two houses that sold at $205 a square foot, and one of them just doesn't make sense. You're like, what the? Why did this one sell for 200? This one, it's 1,000 square feet smaller, but it sold for the
Yeah.
same on a per square foot basis. What is going on? And you're like, oh, that one has a 30 by 40 pole barn on it, or that one has this. The basement had a move, whatever. It had some feature. So again,
Yes.
that's data that we definitely look at.
Right. Right. So when you're exactly, Chuck, and maybe when you said adjustments too, we're seeing in my market when I looked at what we call our realtors look at our hot sheet every day, like what's
Yeah.
going on. And we're in 2 different markets. They're slightly different, right? I looked at the
Hmm.
hot sheet. 33 properties had a price reduction. That's a
Hmm.
lot in a market
Hmm.
where typically things were selling so fast, right? We look at
Hmm.
that average days on market changing slightly, right? Going from
Hmm.
an average of 8 days on the market to 11 days on the market. 3
Hmm.
days is not a huge, obviously, difference, but it feels like, oh my gosh, that's almost 2 weeks, right? Like
Right.
the market
Right.
is evolving, and you need to have a professional realtor who is familiar with how it's evolving with you.
Uh, yes, I agree. Okay. Tell me something I don't agree with. Just,
It's
I mean,
better to live in Buffalo. How's that? You wouldn't agree.
you know what? Better
I'm
is a tough.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Better. It's a tough word, right? Better. I've lived in
Better.
both. I
My
and they're
my
yeah,
sister's vacationing in Hawaii right now. She might argue it's better to be in Hawaii. So,
yeah.
but then,
Winning. I had
yeah,
Yeah, two people I graduated with live in Hawaii, relocated after high school to Hawaii. Like they knew what
right?
they were doing. Talk about
Yeah.
a good decision. I don't know how they did it, but they made it happen.
Yes. Yes, very exciting. Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about, Chuck, in the whole number conversation.
Okay.
So, people, I'm sure everyone knows our professional partners over there at First Priority Mortgage, wonderful mortgage
Okay.
company. Great team to work with if you do need to finance a home, and a good portion of our people are financing homes.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Most of the
every
time.
most of the time, yes. Weekly, they put out a great video, which is called Markets in a Minute. So if you're not already following First Priority, you want to follow them, and you can listen to their Markets in a Minute every week. And they did this most recent one, I thought had great information, great data. And they were talking about Fed conversations. And this was Friday. So it was right around the same time that the Fed was talking about their thoughts for rates moving forward. But again, you're getting the best guess, the best estimates from these companies. and they took a look at what the rates are today, and what they're forecasting for the end of the year and for the end of 2025.
Okay.
I took my data from
Okay.
the town of Hamburg, because again, that's where I'm located right now. And I looked at what was happening with pricing, because I don't know about you, Chuck, but I will hear people say things like, we're going to wait until the rates come down. Right? Have you ever
Yes.
heard someone say
Yep.
that? I want to wait until the rates come down.
Right. Yes. And I say, oh, that's such a good idea. I go, do they come down just for you? Or do they come down for everybody? Guess what? They come down for everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and the challenge in an increasing market is that you can be waiting for the rates to come down, and yet the prices may be going up. Okay. So you may find that. So again, if I looked at in my town of Hamburg, the prices have gone up this past year 7.4%. Okay. Now, if we said, okay, it's going to be the same next year, we're not looking at, the year of 20% appreciation, even 10% appreciation. Let's just say that in the next year, they went up the same 7.4%. We have a rate today of just about 6.375. The prediction was by the end of 2025, the rates would be down to 5.9%, right? So I asked our mortgage consultant, Sean Manley, let me know the scenario of that, right? If you bought a house today at the median price of 290,000, you put 10% down and you got a rate of 6.375. Your monthly payment is going to be $2,276. Okay?
Okay.
So today's price, today's interest rate. If I say I
Yeah.
want to wait, I'm going to wait a year until the rates come down. And now the rates have come down to 5.875. So just around that 5.9 that's predicted by some people.
Yeah.
But the house went up 7.4%. So now my 290 house is worth
Yes.
311, 460. So at the
Yes.
lower rate, but with the appreciation, my payment is now 2,311.
Okay.
So when houses are increasing, the lower payment isn't as much of a factor. And then we did our show a few weeks ago about the bundle and the option of working with First P and getting that half a point credit on my $290,000 house where I'm putting 10% down. That would give me a bundle credit of about $1,300. And you know what? With that $1,300, I could probably buy down the rate and get it under 6 anyway.
Okay.
So
Right.
the
Absolutely.
point is, and I know half the people are like, oh my God, if she says another number, I'm signing off. But the challenge is, you use these numbers, you use this data and information to make some decisions. And now my thought of, I want to wait for the rates to come down might mean, hey, you know what? Let me look at some of those houses. I just heard her say 33 houses had a price reduction in the past 2 days. Let me look at one of those houses and let me get the best of all worlds. I'm going to buy a house at a good price. I'm going to get a bundle credit. I'm going to buy down my rate, and I'm going to get my low rate today on the house that suits my needs today. Because guess what? That house for 290 that I want today, that makes sense for my family and my personal situation, it might not be available next week. It might not be available next week. It might not be available next year.
Right. What we hear all the time is especially, so I really like, usually on my way into work, I listen to Housing Wire on a YouTube podcast, and it's Logan Motoshami, or I think that's how you say his name. And he's really sharp. He's an economist, and he has a good vibe, and I like the way he presents information. And he doesn't really do this, but some others I notice do this, and they say, like, we really need rates to come down to make houses more affordable, so the price comes down, like the monthly payment comes down. If rates go down, the monthly payment goes down. And I say, you know what? Absolutely, but it doesn't go down by as much as you think it does, right? For exactly the reason that you just talked about, that by the time you wait, the value of the house has gone up, and when rates go down, they go down for everybody, which brings in more competition for a limited supply, which drives price up, right? So it doesn't get the benefit of it as much as you think. So you got to talk to your realtor, and you've got to talk about what the experiences in the market. You mentioned if you can take some, you could buy down your rate a little bit. Okay. Yes, you absolutely could. No, flip side, maybe you want rates to go higher, clear some buyers out of the market. And then guess what? You get your house, you lock in where you're going to live. And then 3 years from now, you refinance when the market's more favorable and you're not competing. You've already locked in that property and you can refinance and
Yes.
you're all set. I mean, I love
Yes.
that. I don't once
Yeah.
once you're in, you don't have to compete anymore. So
Right. Right. You know, it's
So
it's
I put up the first priority. I'm sorry. I put up the first priority page. I just wanted to point out that, people can go to the first priority website. You can go to the tools tab and you can scroll down to mortgage calculators and you can test out all these different scenarios. If you buy at this price, at this rate, at this price, and that rate, and you can get the information. It's all easy. It's right there for you.
Yes. Yeah. And again, it's that knowledge is power, right? Like you want the information to have the conversation. This website does not replace calling your First P mortgage consultant, whether it's Sean Manley, whether it's someone else from First P. You're going to have a conversation now like, okay, this is the general information, but I want to talk about me, right? Like let's talk about my situation and what's going to happen. And they'll go over that with you, because just like I used the idea of using that kind of bundle free money to buy down the rate, but at every application they will sit down once you lock in, once you make that formal application, and they'll say like, okay, let's look at the numbers. Maybe we want to do this. Like how long do you think you'll be in the house? Because if you're spending some money to buy down the rate, there's a point where it's like, okay, now you're really benefiting month after month. And that's where they come
Yeah.
in, and that's where that expertise comes in to talk about today's pricing.
Yeah.
But it's, we
No.
talked last week about taking a breath and living in our current environment. And these numbers, they just let us know where we are so that we can guide all of our clients to make the best decisions for themselves.
Yeah. I just like waking up every morning in the right property, like that's I want to do that. I want to be in the right house. I love the house we live in. It's fantastic. I'm so distracted on this call because I'm set up in front of my window overlooking my backyard. My eyes keep shifting over to watch the birds fly by. So, yeah, it's like a shine. I have just constant shiny squirrels going across
Yes.
my
And now you
visage.
have literal squirrels probably going by.
Literally shiny, literal stuff.
You and your cat are
Anyway,
looking at what's going on in the backyard.
yeah, excuse me for just a second. You sent me some super sweet information on PDFs and stuff, and did you want me to pull that on there to kind of go through some of that data?
Well, sure. Throw one up there. We can talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, you sent it to me, and I think it was pretty sweet. Let me try to stop. Let's see, stop screen. I'll get her up there. Share screen. I'm gonna share a window, and I think here we go. Okay, so you got some monthly indicators here. An activity
Right.
snapshot from NISAR.
Yes. So this is all of the states. So this is what I meant. Like the fact that in the state of New York, which obviously is a huge state with lots of different counties and markets, but as a state, we're up 3.5% in closed sales, right? Wonderful. Up
Mm-hmm.
8.7% in the median sales price. We're
Mm-hmm.
down 5.4% in homes for sale. So again, supply and demand, bringing my economics degree to use makes a difference in pricing.
Yes.
So the fact that there are fewer properties is impacting that. When we look at, again, what's happening area by area, we can look at these differences in the new listings, in the pending sales, closed sales, days on market. Again, looking at the whole average of the state, right? So I told you 8 and 11, but really for the state, for all properties, they're looking at 45 and 43. When I run numbers, I tend to run, Chuck, single family home, condos, and townhouse. When the state's doing
Okay.
their numbers, it is everything. So it's
Right.
residential, it's
Yep.
commercial, it's multifamily lots. And that's why the days on market, I'm sure people, if they're listening, they're like, nothing
Yeah.
is on the market for 45 days. Their numbers are wrong. They're not
Yeah,
wrong.
but that
They
that
just need to
commercial
be interpreted.
plaza that commercial plaza was on the market for 3 years.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Yep,
Homes for sale. Again, this is where you're seeing that we went from in 2020, July of 2023, 29,600 to
yep,
July of
okay,
24, 28,405.
yep,
So down
yep,
5%. Again, the month
okay,
supply going from 3.2 to 3.1 in all types of property. Okay.
I
Um,
agree, yeah,
what
okay,
I also like is our housing. If you go down a little bit, one more page to that housing affordability index, this is a number that we're hearing more and more
which
about as
oops,
far as maybe two more pages.
let's see,
Keep
closed
going,
sales, days on market,
keep
median
going. I
sales
think it's
price.
page 10. Keep
Okay.
going, keep
Oh, I see it.
going. There we go.
Yeah,
All
this is it.
right. So
Nailed it.
looking at the affordability factor, right? So for example, it says an index of 120 means the median household income is 120% of what is necessary to qualify for the median price. A higher number means greater affordability. So the affordability is coming down a little bit. From 107 in 2022 to 97 to 90. So as if your income is stable or slightly increasing, but the house prices are increasing faster, that impacts affordability, right? So that is a
Yeah,
challenge. And that is somewhere where rates will come in as far
you
as
know,
your monthly
that's
payment.
that's a thing too. Like I mean, that's really all the chatter right now on every, on all the different channels. That's the big thing, is talking about housing affordability, especially because we're going into an election. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to be talking about this more and more and more. We'll probably have a couple shows about it between now and the end of the year.
It
Yeah,
is a challenge, but again, that supply and demand, it's the inventory shortage, which is facing everywhere in our country, is huge. I
yeah,
get on my little, FPC soapbox about what can be done to improve affordability, increasing the capital gains exemption, making it easier for builders to build and build more affordable homes. Some of the restrictions in towns and construction, it makes affordable housing nearly impossible to build. And that's why so many builders are focusing on rentals.
hmm
We'd like more affordable housing, but if it doesn't make sense, no one's going to do it, you know.
hmm
But
yeah.
anyway, that's not this. You can call me later and we can complain about
All right.
what can be done to make more affordable housing. There's a great initiative to help small developers convert like small properties and improve them, right? Like, let's get that building that's not in great shape. Let's give some incentives to
Right.
fix it up and sell it, right? But anyway, I said
Okay.
I would
Oh,
stop.
okay.
And then when we look at
Okay.
that affordability, or excuse me, activity by county, again, if we look at, where
Which page?
you are, Chuck, in
What page is
Genesee
that?
County, I think that's 14, page 14.
Oh, okay. All
Way
right.
at
Just
the
give me the
bottom.
number here.
Towards the end, we start
Right.
getting into the county by county
Oh, I see it.
activity.
Activity by county. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wait.
on the
Hold on.
first page, if we're looking at like alphabetically, this is every
Yes.
county in New York State. So if you want a
Okay.
copy of this, reach out to your realtor, reach out to Chuck or
Oh,
I,
yeah.
and we can get it to you. And we can look at
Mm-hmm.
like the new listings. So in Erie County,
Mm-hmm.
again, the new listings taken in July were up 6.9%. Closed sales down 0.9. That's pretty flat. Median
Mm-hmm.
sale price up 13% for the county. And again,
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at homes on the market currently at from 850 in 23 to 952 in 24. So that means there is choice, right? That
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned that earlier, Chuck. It doesn't matter the rate and the price if there's not a home available for you, right? But right now there are
Mm-hmm.
some homes available. In your
Okay.
county where you live in Genesee County, the homes for sale actually went down. So they're selling more, they're selling faster than they're taking them in.
Yeah.
In Monroe County, again, new listings are down 1.8%, but closed sales are up, median sale price is up, and the homes available for sale is up. So right now in July, well, as of July, the current availability in Monroe County was up 5.1%. So if you've been waiting, that's what that phrase, if you've been waiting for your sign, here it is. There's inventory to choose from. And again, numbers, the month supply went from 0.8 to 0.9. So that's pretty much the same, but it's an increase of 12.5%. It makes it sound like, oh my gosh,
Well,
12%.
right.
But
I mean, the percents, like what do percents mean? So, I mean, mathematically speaking, I mean, 5% of 10,000 and 5% of 1,000. Well, you could describe as
exactly.
5%. If you go to,
Right.
real estate 2015 and a 5% drop off could have been 1,000 houses, where like a 5% drop off this year could be 20 houses.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, that month supply from 0.8 to 0.9, it's still under 1 month supply. Okay.
Hmm.
So it's still a good market, right?
Yeah.
Chuck, you and I have both been in the business for a long time. I can't tell you how many poorly timed financial decisions I made in real estate. But the thing
Okay.
was, they were greatly timed life decisions, right?
Sure.
I didn't tell my kids,
Yeah.
hey, we can't get you a bigger house because the timing's not right for this. It's like, no, this makes sense for my family at this point. My two
Sure.
kids are in college. I'm like, okay, I was one of those downsizers. It made
Hmm.
great sense for me in my situation to downsize. Did I time the market perfectly because I'm in the business? No. Did I care? No, because it was the
Right.
right
Those are not
decision
that
for
doesn't.
my life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, usually like the D's, diapers, diamonds, um, disposable income. Maybe you won the lottery, but it's usually other
Diploma.
diplomas.
Is that
Yeah.
one of the D's?
Dumpsters.
Because mine was
That
diploma.
is. Yep. Diploma is one of them.
Yeah.
So there's 7 D's. Now, these are the things that generally drive regular people to make a move in real estate. It's a huge part of 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 your wealth and your retirement and things like that. But it's not. It's you don't usually make moves driven by strictly like like you would look at a stock, like, oh, this company's doing amazing. Or I think this company's gonna be doing amazing in 2 years and I should buy it now. Right. It's
Hmm.
just, we just don't do that with real estate. I mean, unless
No.
you're like a big investor with, you know, a
Right.
different type of
Right.
house, a different type of purchase.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for your investment portfolio, your conversations with your realtor are different than
Hmm.
that single family home. It's yes, it's my biggest investment, but it's also where I live, right? Like
Yeah.
it's more than investment, it's housing. So definitely a different conversation with your realtor about that situation. But yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
we love diving into the numbers. We love looking at it, when we're talking with our buyers and sellers. I honestly, if I was recommending someone to have a report or a meeting, I wouldn't tell you to bring all these charts and graphics. But
Yeah.
you talk about your inside baseball behind the scenes. This is what we do behind the scenes. Like, this is what we look at when these reports come out. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're
Hmm.
thinking about. And when your realtor comes to your house, I was talking with someone this morning about a couple of properties. They're like, we go in and say, okay, here's what's been happening. And now how are we going to make decisions moving forward? This is where we think your house will sell. And this is where we think we should price it to get the most activity. And this is where we want to drive traffic. Do we do open houses? Do we do virtual tours? Do we do drone videos? Here, if you are somewhere near the lake, we're going to say we're going to do drone pictures because we want to show the location. If you've got 15 acres, you might do a flying drone video at 10-foot level. Let's go through this property and see the ponds and the features, so that someone who's not able to look at it themselves right there that day, they can see all of it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and because those are the things. I mean, it's sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's
I'm
all
not.
right.
I'm not at 100. I'm not at 100%. Lisa, I got to be honest. I don't know
Well, we
what my
appreciate
percentage is.
you still doing it. This is
Mm.
for those of you who don't know, here's the inside the show, the West New York Real Estate Show with Chuck and Lisa. It's a two-man
Welcome to my
production.
kitchen.
So if 50% of our team is out, that's a problem because the other half of the team hasn't learned some of the stuff that Chuck does. So I promise to do that. We won't make him do all of our stuff when he's sick again. So appreciate it, Chuck. I will definitely learn the parts that I need to learn. I will gladly teach you how to talk too much like I do. So you're ready for that if I'm out.
Listen, you carry the show. You're awesome. So, all right, well, let's wrap up. Let's go.
All
So if you
right.
need information, call your realtor. Your realtor's got this data. And, we're real estate's about connection with your realtor. It's usually some sort of an emotional connection first, but we verify that with logic, with data, that this stuff all just reinforces that decision we've already made on that hunch, that gut, that trust, right? So
Yeah. And a
this
lot of it, Chuck,
is how we do
too.
it.
I just spoke a few minutes ago about talking with your seller and going over this information, but we do the same for the buyers because your
Yeah, for
agent
sure.
knows both sides of the transaction. So
Hmm.
if I'm representing you to help you purchase a property, I'm also looking at the data to say, okay, this is where we need to be. Chuck, you mentioned like, hey, this house looks out of whack. Like, why is it priced this way? It could be too high. It could be too
Hmm.
low. Your realtor is
Hmm.
going to be able to spot those deviations and help you still get the property that you want.
Right. Because do you want to, if you're going to buy a house, let's pretend you're a buyer. If you're going to buy a house, do you want to start from scratch?
No.
Like, no, right? Wouldn't you want to start from realtor scratch, which realtor scratch is this huge foundation of information and experience. That's our scratch. We've already got that. And once we get it, we can never lose that.
Right.
We went through that. We went through that already so that you don't
Yes.
have to. So yeah, take advantage. Yeah.
Perfect. I like that. I like realtor
All
scratch.
right. Realtor scratch. All right. Well, that's it. Closing thought. All right. Thanks. We'll see you guys next Wednesday, 9:30. Cheers, everybody.